Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below and hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from R&N. On today's edition of the Cup Rewind, we're looking back at Sunday's 31st annual Can-Am 500, 312 laps, 312 miles around the 1 mile ISM Raceway in Avondale, Arizona. 10 caution flags in this race for a total of 61 laps. There were a lot of incidents in this race, especially as we got closer to the end. No incidents whatsoever in Stage 1. That ended at lap 75. Your Stage 1 winner would be Chase Elliott. After Kevin Harvick, who had led basically from the drop of the green flag, had a flat tire with 3 to go in Stage 1, limped it to pit road. Almost put him out of contention in this one, though. Really no damage, was able to kind of fight back, and but Chase Elliott, who really had the second fastest car in Stage 1, comes out with the Stage 1 victory after all of that. Stage 2, we had a couple of incidents. First one happening at lap 97 as the 22 of Joey Logano spun in turn 1 after cutting a left rear tire. And then a very similar incident at lap 135 as the 14 of Clint Bowyer spun in turn 4 and found the wall, also from a blown left rear tire. Stage 2 concluded at lap 150. Your Stage 2 winner would be Kyle Busch. Stage 3 was where we started to get a lot of accidents happening. First one at lap 230 is the 97 of Tanner Berryhill spun in turn 2. Lap 241, the 4 of Kevin Harvick, as he's trying to fight his way back through the field, got into the back of David Reagan and turned him in turn number 3. Lap 264, the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse had a violent wreck into the outside wall in turn 1. That caused about a 10.5 minute red flag. Lap 270, big incident on the front stretch as we come back to green flag racing from the Ricky Stenhouse incident. Denny Hamlin gets kind of tight off of turn 2, slides up, kind of pushes Kurt Busch into the wall. They both get together. Hamlin ends up turning into the outside wall. Kurt Busch goes down and collects Chase Elliott. Alex Bowman also involved in this incident. So two of the guys that were extremely fast in this race and probably could have won their way into Homestead in Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch, both taken out in this accident. That was Kevin Harvick's main competition for knocking him out of the championship for most of the day. Lap 287, the 88 of Alex Bowman, again involved in an accident. He spun in turn 2 and found the wall. Another red flag from this incident for about 6 minutes. And finally, lap 296, the 97 of Tanner Berryhill, spun again in turn 2. 15 lead changes on the day among 8 drivers. Kyle Busch led the most laps, 117. 73 laps were led by Kevin Harvick. 52 laps went to Kurt Busch. 32 laps were led by Brad Keselowski. 16 laps went to Chase Elliott. 11 laps led by Erik Jones. 8 laps went to Martin Truex Jr. And 3 laps were led by Ryan Blaney. All right, let's get into your results on the day for the Can-Am 500. Kyle Busch comes away with the victory, his 8th of the season after leading the most laps. Just wasn't anybody really that could contend with him at the end of the race. Brad Keselowski was running him down, had a couple of issues getting through the corner a couple of times that set him back. Probably was going to catch him until those bobbles happened, and Kyle Busch ends up coming away with the victory. Aric Almirola did everything he possibly could at the end of the race to win his way into the championship four, just did not have the speed to keep up with Kyle Busch on those late restarts. Gave it a valiant effort, but just could not quite keep it up there. Kyle Larson came home in the 3rd position, Aric Almirola in 4th, and Kevin Harvick, after all of his adversity throughout the day, still comes home with a top 5 finish in 5th. The rest of your top 10 were Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth with a strong run in 7th. Remember, he won this race last year in that 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, what is probably his final win of his career. Still comes home with a pretty solid finish. I believe that's his best finish in that 6 car this season there in 7th. Austin Dillon with a strong run in 8th. William Byron also strong run in 9th. And Bubba Wallace with a top 10 finish in 10th. 11th through 20th. We see Martin Truex Jr. down here in 14th. He kind of waved the white flag at the end of the race. He did not want to be up in the craziness. He knew he was good enough to get to Homestead on points. Didn't want to risk that. So he just he pitted on the last restart, voluntarily put himself at the rear of the field, so he was kind of out of the craziness, and comes home with a 14th place finish. Erik Jones had a strong car as well. Ran into some incidents late. 17th, 2 laps down would be where Erik Jones would land on the day. 21st through 30th, Chase Elliott, after his accident there late in the race, unfortunately comes home in the 23rd position, 3 laps down. Alex Bowman, after his couple of incidents, landed there in the 30th position. Then final page, 31st through 39th, Kurt Busch had what could have possibly been the fastest car in the field. I guess we'll never know. He did lead a good chunk of laps, but he had so many problems throughout the day. Got penalized for apparently beating the pace car to the pit road entrance on one caution when he was leading. That set him back in the field, and just so many things compounded. He kept having to play catch up, and then eventually got caught up in that incident late in the race. Clint Bowyer just never really got a chance to try and win his way into Homestead. Out very early there at lap 133. He lands in the 35th position. Joey Logano, lucky for him, he is already locked into Homestead, 37th on the day for Joey Logano. That's your results from the Can-Am 500. Now let's head over to the Media Center, as we always do, and we'll see what Kyle and your other top finishers had to say after this one.
Shoot, I don't know. I'm the last person to ask about that. I think we had a shot to win the race, and I was going to do what I could. I felt like our car was in a really good spot. I feel like without that last yellow, I could have ate those guys up and gone, but the last yellow kind of ran off too many laps on me. I needed those laps to be able to get there, but our car was pretty strong, like you said, and I was really proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had very good runs, to be honest, the whole year, but this run we kind of went a completely different direction with what we were doing and seemed to pay off, and just kind of had a solid weekend other than qualifying. So got some damage there, but we were able to come back, I guess, and finish ninth, so that's decent, and go into Homestead next week.
I never really thought about it like that. I just thought about getting it. My main job was to try to get it back to the pits without crashing it into the wall or having a tire blow out and rip the fenders off. I felt it go down going into turn 1 and just kind of tried to nurse it into turn 3 and back around. So I couldn't get down over there, and I just drug everything all the way around and drug the splitter off, and so it never really handled as good after that, but we've made some adjustments to our car and got ourselves back in contention there in the second stage, staying out, and it worked out okay.
Right place, right time, a few of them. The big crash off of turn 2 on that restart on the backstretch was, it was close. There was cars of smoke everywhere. I just basically stopped going into turn 3 and was lucky to find a hole to get through. So just a little bit of good fortune, a little bit of the right place, right time, and the rest of the day we just we battled and got what we could out of the car and did what we had to.
Yeah, it certainly feels really good. I mean, it's better if you got a shot to win, to go ahead and win than to not. So obviously, just the beginning of the race was not quite as good as we wanted it to be. We kept working on the car all day long, kept making it better. It was super good and strong on those restarts, and we were able to kind of pick some guys off and get ourselves farther up towards the front. Wasn't sure what all was going to happen there with that. We came to pit road under green, and then the caution came out, and then being a lap down, all that. I thought that kind of ruined our chances for being able to have a win today. But overall, just a lot of crazy things happened there at the end and got us in position to where we could capitalize on that. And feels good to go off into next week with a win under our belt and hopefully do it again.
And a follow-up. One of the things that hadn't been talked about too much by the drivers is Victory Lane. What was that like, the new reconfigured Victory Lane with all the fans there and that interaction?
Yeah, it was good. There's obviously, a lot of heckling, but it's positive heckling. They're just chanting and telling you they love you and all kinds of other things. So it's entertaining at times, but while you're trying to do a job and talk to people and have interviews and things like that, they're screaming in your ear, and so you just kind of got to figure out how to tune that out sometimes. Yeah, I mean, the setup was nice. Overall, where the guys, where all of us kind of stand, where the photographers are, we need multiple levels. So, like, we can put guys down front or sponsor guests down front, so then there's multiple levels so people can be seen. That's my suggestion. Fix it. I don't know why people don't ask me what we need in Victory Lane. I go to enough of them. Like, just ask me what we need, all right? I'll fix them.
All right, and we'll take a look at your playoff grid one final time for the 2018 season as we now have our championship 4 selected for 2018. These are the 4 drivers that will compete for a championship at Homestead, and I don't think this is much of a surprise. I talked about it on the Cup preview show that went up this morning before this race. Even with I didn't see the adversity for Kevin Harvick happening that he had today, but even with all of that, still able to make his way into the championship 4. And it felt to me like unless something really strange happened, this was going to be your championship 4. We've already got Joey Logano that was locked in from Homestead, and then you've got the big 3 here. They had such a points gap that they had built up throughout the season. Harvick kind of lost a lot of his points gap that he had last week after the penalty from Texas, and Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch, I will give them credit, gave one heck of a run to try and get into the championship 4. Unfortunately, their bids came up short as they got caught up in that incident late. But it's just, you look at this and it's the big 3. They have been the strongest 3 cars all season. It's hard to say they're not going to be in the championship 4, but at the same time, you say that, Justin Allgaier didn't make the championship 4 in the Xfinity Series, and he and Christopher Bell have easily been the strongest 2 cars in the Xfinity Series this season, so it was completely possible that at least one of these 3 didn't make the championship 4, but when all is said and done, these 3 did make the championship 4. So we've got Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch up here, 8 wins apiece so far this season. Just incredible seasons out of both of them. Martin Truex Jr. with 4 wins this season, and then of course 2 wins for Joey Logano here as well. So looking at this championship 4, we have a very, very stacked championship 4 here, and it's really hard to pick a champion out of this. And we'll delve more into that on the Cup preview show for Homestead, but I mean, just looking at this, it's going to be very hard to actually pick someone as a prediction for a champion because all 4 of these guys have been extremely fast this season, and every one of them, say what you will about some of these guys, I know at least a couple of these guys are not well liked among the fan base. So say what you will about these guys, they've all had incredible seasons and all probably deserve in some way or another to win this championship. So luckily I have a few nights to sleep on this before I make a prediction for a champion on the Cup Rewind or on the Cup preview for next weekend. Because honestly, right now, I don't know who I would pick. I really don't. Luckily, by that point, by the time we do the Cup preview, we'll have practice times and qualifying in there to kind of give a little bit of something to look at. So that's something to look forward to next weekend as we start to wind down the 2018 racing season. 1 week left of NASCAR racing, all 3 series in action. This week at Homestead for their championship races, and then 1 week left of Formula One as they ran their penultimate race today as well. That will be on pole position tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. on Monday, as we quickly recap that as well as all 3 of these races from Phoenix. Then they have 1 race left, not this coming weekend, not Homestead weekend, but the weekend after that to wrap up their season. And then we're done for 2018. Then we start into our off-season programming. We'll talk more about that soon. But we're starting to get there. We're starting to get to the final stages of the 2018 season. It's been a fun season. It's not over yet, but we are definitely getting to that point. But if you haven't done it already, go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. We're so close to that 100 subscriber mark. At the time of this recording, we're at 98 subscribers. So if you're not already subscribed, go down below and hit that subscribe button so we get there and we can get to that 100 subscriber giveaway that much quicker. If you already are subscribed, thank you. But if you can, refer a friend or for a family member, whatever you got to do so that we can do that 100 subscriber giveaway and give you a chance at that really cool piece of Venturini Motorsports memorabilia. The announcement video for that is, as always, linked down below in the description if you haven't seen it yet. I know I've been kind of harping on that for a couple of weeks now since we haven't quite hit that point yet. We're getting so close. I just want us to hit that point so we can do this giveaway, and I can reward one of you fantastic subscribers with this really cool piece of Venturini Motorsports memorabilia. But while you're down there, why don't you hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video? It's much appreciated when you do. So with that, this has been the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.